the chamber, and referring to the county's requirements of TSL, and with the expectation that it'll be only a one-year commitment until it's reevaluated.
So report to definitions.
Definitions, a relationship, a new relationship with the chamber, with reference to the county's requirements of TSL, and looking at not necessarily an indefinite period, but a 1 year to see if this is working and to be reevaluated.
Can we procedurally do that? We're locked into the county, right, for this service?
We're locked into the county.
Well, this is, I don't know if we can
Well, we don't know.
procedurally do
We're going
that.
to challenge. I'm not saying anything to do with the county's TSL relationship. I'm not
We
saying we're
also have
challenging
a
that at this
motion
point.
that
It's a
we-
different issue, right? So.
Oh, sorry.
But it's like policing, right? We can't just arbitrarily say we're going to decide in a year whether we're going to keep the ATP or not, right? That's a county.
Oh, we're not talking about TSL. It's independent. I'm talking about the chamber.
But we already did
Different chamber
funding. We've given that funding to the chamber.
That's what we said.
Councillor Ullman, I haven't got a second.
Oh, the chamber.
Like, very simply, we've given some dollars to the chamber. We need to be specific about what we want to hear from the chamber, what kind of a report, what do we want in a report back from it. I mean, very simply, to get us through this year, right? We gave them the money for the 2012 budget.
And there was
2013 is going to be coming up again, so I mean, that gets you through to whether or not we're going to get specific recommendations from an economic task force, but we still need to have some kind of expectation for the chamber and a report back from them. How have they taken these extra steps? I mean, that's something separate. That's just a separate little initiative that gets us by 1 year. In terms of TSL and SLEP and all of those other things, I mean, we've talked for 9 years about how we need to be better partners and make sure that we leverage those partnerships appropriately. So I'm hoping that that's what's going to come back from the Economic Development Task Force, specific ways that we can enhance those partnerships.
Outside of mandate.
It's not your mandate?
You
Then,
can have
okay,
broad- you can
that's
have
fine.
broad,
Then-
but, and that's the
okay.
economic development committee.
Then once an economic
Next year.
development committee is established in another year, maybe we'll look at ways that we can enhance partnerships. I mean, that's what we need to be doing, and leveraging all of that and being specific about what we want. We never have been, we're still not, and we need to be.
There's not a motion yet, there isn't a second. Somebody seconded. Okay, Councillor Cook seconded. I guess we did that when we gave the money to the chamber, did we not? Ask them to report back on what they've done with the money, so that is already in the
Make
works.
sure that we have. and that
There's
we're
no
going to do it.
obligation. It's just kind of a nice ask. We'd like you to.
Let's just pass the
There's no
motion and get the
obligation.
report.
Right.
Skip. Pass the motion and get the report.
Just real
Because
quick.
it's the report. It's the
Any
report.
comment?
We did enter an agreement with the chamber outlining some conditions on the funding.
Yeah.
And basically, they had to, basically provide information to the public regarding how that was, the money was for, definitely for tourism, not necessarily for their chamber needs. And that they had to give us year-to-date operating statements showing actual revenue, expenses incurred for tourism promotion, and provide revenue expenses for, expectations for the next year, and then audit financial statements. So they are providing information as to how they met the tourism goal. I'm not saying that that can't be taken further, but
Well, we didn't say, but if, in relation to the whole, just in the general tourism, which could be all focused in Grand End, or, so we haven't really given a clear picture of what our expectations are.
Councillor McGuire's the other hand.
Well, that was for Sheriff.
Yeah, so obviously, we've already done that, we've followed through. When we get the budget binder this year, there's a section on economic development, and maybe there's a couple of words in there, a little paragraph that goes out with what we expected and what staff followed through with, and we asked for the report. I mean, that's what our budget binder has a preamble to each section that states what the objectives are for the coming year, the things that we're going to work at. So that should be reflected in that particular document, and you can track it that way.
Councillor Scott?
I understand where Elizabeth is trying to go. She's, I think, from what I'm gathering, is that she's really trying to see what direction we're going to be going in, or how we're going to get there. And that's one of the reasons that our economic because we didn't feel that enough direction was being given out there in, as a whole, as to what we perceive as a council to be happening. Am I close?
Sure. Yeah, that's, absolutely. You just need to define it, right?
So
You need to
I
have
think,
that.
I think what she's trying to do is just get a report back on how we can work with them and put things together as a totality and maybe have recommendations coming from us. So,
Okay, anything else with the motion?
Just briefly, this is my point about policy. If we have a policy that drives these kind of partnerships, then accountability is part of it.
That's right.
And we keep fudging around with it. We don't seem to be able to delineate anything clearly when we enter into one of these partnerships. It seems to be reactive, so I'll support it.
In favor of the motion? Opposed? Carried. Councilor Russell?
Well, further to what we started out on half an hour ago, if we could go on to page 16, you've got 032109, Economic Development Step Report of CAO, obviously done, right? You've got on page 17, 0808, the task force, and then you've got two others. We can get rid of them very quickly and put check marks because we did the economic task force. So let's eliminate those because we don't have to go around that circle again.
You're not following the linear thinking.
I'm not going to follow the linear thinking today because all we're doing is we're getting into obfuscation.
Yes.
We're getting into obfuscation.
I got 08, 08, and 5. That's one. 03, 21, 09.
And 080805.
And then 0214 and 0214 again, 05, and
Yeah.
they're all the task force that we just talked about. Right?
Okay.
They're already struck and did anything. They're just saying.
Okay. So the next item then, if we move, Councilor Underwood?
Yeah, I just want to point out, like, the discussion we're having is not strategic in nature. I just want to point out, this is supposed to be for strategic planning. And yes, so as long as everybody understands, this isn't a strategic discussion of this stuff. We're doing tactical stuff and clearing up housekeeping stuff, but I thought we were going to be talking about strategic things in nature, which is long-term, and if we go through and now, strategic in nature could be asking for a policy that brings things together, or something like that. But if we're looking at one thing at a time, as long as everybody understands, this isn't a strategic discussion, this is a tactical. Okay,
Mired in the weeds.
we're in the weeds, yeah.
We're in the
More
frame of
in
mind.
the what?
We're mired in the fresh weeds.
No, I might have something clear.
Deputy Mayor Day?
Actually, you've got a really good point. I think we're passing, almost past our 2-year mark, right? And we never completed that discussion. And so we're shooting at nothing, we're definitely gonna hit it, right?
That's right, that was my point right from the start.
Yeah, so this is all great, but you know what, I think a number of these things are going to be resolved once we get to the bottom of the strategic planning discussion, because we'll know whether we really want to put all our time and energy into that issue. You know, is, you know, I don't know what it is.
Are these,
A municipal study,
this,
or the DNA, National Consulting, or whatever.
this is the strategic discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah, these are the things, is that an initiative, the number one on the top, to encourage and increase in the number of sites and facilities appropriate for small business? That's our strategic, that's why we have to go through these and see whether there's other things we add to this, or where we prioritize these items on this sheet, and move forward with them. And then, this is the initiative, we're dealing with how do you do that? This last half hour is how do you do that for one item?
Yeah.
Where these initiatives are the goals and the objectives. These are the things we need to talk about more than this.
when we look at our strategic goals, our long-term 20-year strategic goals, which is basically we've decided to make Lambton Shore a great place to thrive. We need to have an infrastructure of policies. This is what we do. We do things in the ground, we put things in the ground, we fix the water, we take care of the